To the money desk now, Devon. So as the president gets ready to address the nation tomorrow, some of the country's biggest retailers and producers want relief from power cuts. What are they asking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a strong hold on the entire economy. And then these big retailers are saying, look, at some point, you're going to see this reflecting in the prices that the consumers face, because there's just so much money going towards taming or curbing the impact of power cuts. Now, the body representing 12,000 businesses, including top manufacturers and retailers, has written an open letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa. It wants the president to scrap the sugar tax, as well as suspend the fuel duty and road accident fund levies for the industry in the midst of those destructive power cuts. The letter was penned on behalf of the CEOs of ShopRite, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Tiger brands, and that's just to mention a few. Now, Zinhle Tyikwe is the CEO of the Consumer Goods Council. That's where the letter essentially came from. Tyikwe, Zinhle joins us now. Zinhle, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. That letter to the president on behalf of those CEOs, I mean, it was quite forthright. What's at risk here if the power cuts and its impact is not curbed?
Thank you, Gavin, and good afternoon to your listeners. I think what is important is that our members are the biggest contributor to the GDP. We have contributed about 12.2% from a retail and trade perspective, as well about 11.7% for the manufacturers. We are the second biggest employer, with 20% of South Africans employed in our sector, or in South Africa as a whole. So we are the biggest sector, and we are a very essential sector, and we view ourselves as the most important sector in the country, because we feed South Africans. We ensure that the South Africans have food, and the produce from a healthcare, food, as well as products, household products are available at the point of sale. So it's important that this sector is recognized by government as a critical sector to make sure that this country survives, livelihoods of South Africans are protected.
Now, you know, requests to scrap certain taxes and levies, I mean, they're not new. Even before the power cuts were intensified, you had the calling for these things. But in this context, where you see the damaging effects of power cuts, how far do you think a request like that would go? And to what extent would it save the value chain? Because it's a very big ask. That money that would be generated from levies would essentially go into a government coffer for government to undertake its social obligations. So are you confident that those requests that you have, get rid of the sugar tax, halt the fuel levy, how far do you think that will go?
I think we are confident, I must say, because especially with the fuel levy as well as RAF, the road accident fund, these are prices, or these levies are paid by South Africans as a whole, as business as a whole, which is not due to government, because we are using this diesel and we are paying this cost for generators. So it's important that government cannot collect dues that are not due to them. So our members, a few examples that I can do it, we've done a survey and we have indicated that our members within the period from September last year until January, mid of January this year, the use of diesel in liters has gone up 8 times on the same period last year. And the cost for that has gone up nearly 10 times. So this is a cost and the financial burden that our members are taking that could have been relief at the point of sale for products, because at the end of the day, if having to run businesses and make sure that we continue to trade is such an expensive exercise for us in South Africa, because we have to do the basic necessities that all South Africans need to have of electricity, and for us to make sure that we continue to contribute to the success and the economic growth of this country, and we are not able to do that. That's a cost eventually is going to be leading up to the consumers. We definitely are engaging with government. We have tabled this in NEDLAC, and we have tabled this through BUSA, because we are a member of BUSA. And we feel that our requests are not being taken seriously, because we believe that with this exercise, especially on the reduction of the fuel tax, as well as removing of the RAF fund, will be such a significant relief for businesses. With regards to sugar tax or the health promotion levy, it is such an impediment. And the purpose of it, when it was first set up, was to remove or to help contribute to the education and creating awareness for health, for non-communicable diseases. And we have found that government has not been able to do that function, that main function. And the cost of that is still borne by the retailers and the manufacturers, and they still have the responsibility to make sure that they provide healthy food options at a point of sale, where you have a choice of different sizes from your favorite drinks or beverages. And the key thing that we are really scared about, it's called a health promotion levy. There's a possibility of it being spread throughout the value chain, where government deems any unhealthy product, then they can obviously put that. So it could be whether is it fruit juice, or whether because there's sugar levels, or is it sodium. There's a big span, and we need to be precise and make sure that a social impact research is done to say what is this money used for? Is it used for what it was set for?
Can I come in there now? How real, just to shift focus again to the power cuts, how real is the escalation of food prices if the cost of diesel and generators continue to eat into returns? Now, I see many of your members just now, this morning, Pick and Pay, saying that it's losing about 60 million rand a month due to load shedding. How real is that in terms of it's translating to what the end consumer faces in terms of price rises throughout these big retail and food manufacturers?
It's real. I think the reality that I would like to just maybe shift the load shedding issue to is the impact of it in the value chain. The producers are unable to produce the food that they require at the rate, because it's unpredictable of when the electricity cut is going to go up, whether is it on stage 4 or stage 6. It's unpredictable. So that impact is going to be seen in retail, and retailers, to make sure, if you think about it, in the outskirts of the country, in the rural areas. And I was in East London over the holidays, and I got a shock of my life, because shops, literally, banks, small SMMEs, are closing their shops during that 4 hour when the load shedding is occurring, and they're unable to trade. Then if they don't have generators, they're not going to be able to realize that value that they had on the day. So at the end of the day, your input cost increases, and you have to adjust and see where can you save. If already the manufacturers are struggling themselves, and now the retailers are struggling, it definitely will end up being passed on to the consumer.
All right, I'm going to leave it there, but before you go, maybe just a few seconds here. The president telling the private sector yesterday at the mining Adaba not to criticize from the rooftops, to get involved. Do you think that was a fair ask very quickly?
I think we have been involved. We've been communicating to government. We've put solid plans in place. We are involved in BOSA. We are involved in NETLAC, and we're just concerned that all our proposals and our plans are not received with the agency that it requires. And we are in a crisis. We have power is such a crucial basic needs for South Africans. From a home perspective, from the manufacturer, from a retailer, from any business sector in South Africa, if we want to have economic growth, we really need to take this as a crisis that it is, and make sure that prudent and actionable plans are put in place.